Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Bharat Connect's panel discussion for the month of December. So for today, the discussion title is going to be Customer Service is Your Organization's Differentiator. So as we have seen, this is becoming more and more relevant and more talked about in several industries and everywhere. So we thought, why not we have this as a topic and then bring in some industry experts, panelists, and then have a discussion around this topic and see where they see the their focus is right now, and how they see customer service is important, and what are the different things that they are doing to keep up to keep their company as a differentiator in customers' perspective, in terms of the service and whatever they are doing. Okay, so without further ado, I will introduce our panelists here and then give a brief introduction about what we are looking to talk about, and then we will get this started, right? So we have three panelists here today. We have Ankit Goenka. He's from Bajaj Allianz General Insurance, Head of Customer Experience. So has a ton of experience and being in the customer heavy on the customer interactions and the customer experience. So especially in the insurance, so it's very hard to make a difference when you are selling insurance, but then to make it even more harder, so now the digital way of dealing with the customers, right? That's another totally a different way of approaching, and how you do it and how you differentiate on top of it to make customers to recognize your brand and your products and services. So it's going to be very interesting to hear from him, because he happens to be one of top notch in what he is doing, and won several awards, and so to name to some of the recognitions, so he's one of the topmost influential person in the the payment and professionals globally, and what is called top 50 most influential payment professional. Let's hear from Ankit shortly, and let's take his view. We can't wait to have Ankit on board and hear from him. So thanks so much, Ankit, and welcome to panel discussion today.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Yep, sure. And then second, Chief Mahagram. So he has been payment, domain, and financial services and the product management consulting, and then he has been one of the innovative solution provider, and so finally he has landed on a perfect initiative where they are growing very well, and they are into many different cities and parts of India, and so we wish them a very good luck, and I personally find that model is very interesting, and so we would like to wish them good luck, and then invite Mr. Ram to our panel discussion today. Good evening, Ram. Welcome, and thank you so much for being part of our panel today.
Absolutely. Looking forward. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And then the last but not least is Sabapathy Narayanan. So he's head of marketing of PayHuddle. So he has been doing a lot of startups, so about 8 startups. So he has one thing that he talks about all the time, that is so keep your ears open for listening to what customer says, meaning so we have to be always close to the customer and see what they see and what they think is necessary, rather than we believe in producing some product and then expecting customers to buy. So there is a different totally two different approaches. So welcome to the panel discussion, Sabah. So we'd like to hear.
Yeah, thank you for having me here, Uthaman. In fact, I have known Uthaman for the past 5 years.
in different capacities. We have worked together professionally. And Ankit, I have been a customer of Bajaj Insurance for many years now. And Ram, probably PayHuddle and Mahagram work together because you're most likely using the test cards that we have provided NPCI for your EMB migration. Okay, so that's how we're all connected with each other on this panel. And today I look forward to learning and taking away quite a lot from this panel as well as from the audience. Thank you. Thank you, Uthaman, for having me.
Thanks. So let me give like a brief introduction about the topic, right? So as I said, this is becoming a very, very hot trend in service industry. So one of the Forrester study says 95% of our leaders business leaders are saying providing a good customer experience is a strategic priority, and 75% are want to use customer service as a competitive advantage. So it is those are the days when you see once you sell a product then you really companies don't pay much attention to the customers, and the customers are on mercy of the companies to give them any help or do any support. Those are the days that are not in the past. So the newer way of approaching is so a lot of products have been now sold as a service, right? What it means is so companies take ownership, and they want to make sure, hey, we are here to make sure we not only sell, we are here to make sure that you are able to use it on an everyday basis. Meaning that's a very, very a strong way of connecting with the customers and telling them assuring them that we are here to support, and let's have our journey together, kind of a thing. So one small story here to be shared, which we got it from the Mahagram resorts, right? So this is one of the top the story internal Chakraborty of Storyworks fondly shares. So that's where we picked it up from. So I thought this was a little bit more relevant here. So Mahagram resorts, one day a couple who were supposed to come check-in time, but then they got stuck with the traffic, or they even started late, and so they are driving, and then by the time they are going to get to the resort, it's going to be well past the lunchtime. So they called the resort and said, hey, could you please make sure you have some lunch packed for us, and then by the time, because we are going to be late. And so they were talking, the receptionist asking where are you, which route you are taking. But when they were explaining, so they were saying, if you're taking that route at this point of a time, it's not just a lunch, we may have to even keep your tea or something, because it's going to be even more later than the lunchtime. So, but then when this one was happening, the receptionist was hearing all this the whole conversation with the customer and their restaurant, who they are requesting to keep the lunch for them. And then the receptionist, what he did is, as soon as his shift done at 12, so he took the lunch what they have packed, and then he started driving in his scooter towards the place where the customers are coming from, in the direction about 12 kilometers. And he went there. It took about half hour or 45 minutes for him to get, but then he went there, and then he was able to meet them in the middle of the way, and then gave them the lunch, and then which was quite unexpected. And the guests were taken back. Oh, really? You delivered my lunch here? So what a way of delighting a customer, totally unexpected. And it's just not in anywhere defined in his job profile, he has to go deliver the lunch, or so what I'm saying is sometimes it doesn't come from our policies, or even because we cannot be thinking about all the different scenarios, right? So it is the employees who make that difference, and employees who are being the face of our company and product and services, whatever we do, and they can make all the difference, and being in touch with the customers, and sometimes talking very nice words, and being empathetic to what customers are telling, listening, and doing some good stuff, right? So with this story, let's jump into this discussion, and then so we have few discussion points to get into more details. And the discussion points, what we'll do is we'll push it to each one of the panelists for a few topics, and then there are one or two topics that we are keeping it open for everybody also. Of course, if more than one panelist having some opinion, we would like to hear them for any of these questions. It's all open. So because this is all just a discussion points, so nothing more. Okay, with that, let's jump into the panel discussion today. So Ankit, we want to start with you. So the first question, the discussion point I should say, is we keep talking about customer service being the key differentiator for any organization. While this would mean different things for different people, what constitutes a good customer service? Are there any thumb rules that we can talk about when it comes to customer service? What do you use or practice in your organization?
Sure, thanks for that question, and very pertinent. And I'll just like to change that to customer experience.
Sure.
Right, because for me, the way we look at it, customer service is all about being reactive, right? But when you talk about the experience part, then you are talking about some proactiveness, right? So that's the journey that we started, and as you mentioned, thumb rule, right? So with Bajaj Allianz General Insurance a few years back, we said that, and we realized that yes, the entire experience of a customer will be the differentiator, because typically, in most of the industries, everything is commoditized, right? Yeah. Every company more or less would have the same product, right? Different name, they may package it differently, but more or less the same, right? So it's only the experience and somewhat the marketing as well, you can say that, right? Comes into the play, right? So we said that how do we really make that difference, right? Because when we talk about this entire experience and service piece, we only look at a small portion of the organization, which is the customer service department or the customer care department, which primarily you can say the call center or the email or the chat or whatever, right? We said that we need to go beyond, right? Yeah. It's not really limited to them, to deliver this, right? It has to be each and every employee of the organization, each and every partner which is associated with us, because general insurance is highly intermediary driven, right? There are very few customers who directly come to us, right? It's largely driven through the intermediaries, right? So we said we need to ensure that each one of them really deliver that piece, right? Yeah. We said the first step there is that let's change our company brand promise, right? And thereby we introduce caringly yours, right? And as we introduce caringly yours, the whole idea there was, let's get the care element into the DNA of the organization. So when you are selling also, you're selling with care. It's not a push that you're doing in the sale, right? Because when you look at the insurance as a product, okay, we strongly believe that it's a service, social service, so to say, that you are doing to the whole society. Before the panel discussion, we were talking about COVID, right? The entire insurance industry has paid around 30,000 crores already, as claims only for COVID. Right now, just think about that. 30,000 odd crores. If there was no insurance, what would have happened? Right. So from that point, that's the start point that we, started in our organization, and from there on, various strategies, kicked in. People who are not delivering care, there is a stick. People who are delivering care, there is a reward. Right. And across that, and one of the points which you mentioned, employee. Right. Again, I say employee experience is equal to customer experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
If your employee is happy, he's going to make sure that your customer is also happy. Right? And you need to make sure that you empower your employees, you trust your employees. Just to give an example, call center, right? Now, they are the junior most in the pyramid, the least paid in the entire hierarchy. And we want them to be the best. We want them to know each and everything of the organization. We want them to know each and every processes, systems, right? And at the same time, we want them to deliver that empathy, care, everything with productivity. So I guess that's not the experience for the employee. How are we really making sure that that employee, that call center employee also feels happy when he's taking that call? He really feels empowered because he's the least trusted person in the entire organization. Typically organization will not empower that guy,
Yeah.
but that's the point where you need to put the maximum empowerment. Because if that person fails or your front end fails, everything else will fail. And similar to the sales team as well, the fleet on street who are going and selling, the policies, we enable them through digital tabs, right? And everything is available to them. They are also like our service people. So the entire customer 360, we talk about all those concepts, we keep on hearing those jargons, omni-channel, multi-channel, 360, all those is there. But the real part is that are you really enabling it to the end mile in your organization? The person who's actually there standing in front of the customer, that person needs to be empowered. And once you start doing that, then you see that the experience will go up. And with that experience, obviously the loyalty will come.
Yeah.
And then to metricize that, you can say those NPS, the grievance things and everything comes into the play, right? And that's what we have seen, over these last, 2-3 years. Bajaj has ensured that we maintain the leadership position in the GI industry with the least grievances and the highest NPS. It is only because that our front end people are empowered. Right, they are empowered to make this. Let them make mistakes. That's okay.
Yeah.
The other thumb rule, I would say, let your front end guys make mistakes. Because
Absolutely.
they make mistakes, you will also learn. They will also learn.
Yeah.
Right. So don't hesitate in empowering them. Right. And of course, the digital part when we talk about, right, we talk about many things when we talk about the back end to be, implement the new technologies in your back end and all those stuff. I would say implement technologies for those people. Make them digital savvy. Make them digital agents of yours.
Yeah.
That's the strategy and philosophy that we have been working on. Happy to take any other question or any other points.
Yeah. Actually, it makes a lot of sense with what you're saying. So, because in fact, we don't even trust them to a level, we don't even let them talk of their own, right? We give them a strict scripts. They have to go with it.
In fact, yesterday I was, meeting because this is my habit. I keep on going on the floor, meeting the front end people. So I was sitting with few folks, right? And I actually said them that do not be slaves to the process. Yes, SOP is important.
Yeah.
Right. But when you need to deliver an experience, SOP will not work.
Yeah, absolutely. No.
Right. You need to understand that somebody who's getting in touch with you, who's your customer, right? That guy is getting in touch with you because there is an issue. Nobody today in this world has extra time to just, call up an insurance company or write to an insurance company or chat with an insurance company just like that, right?
Yeah.
We have an issue, right?
Yeah.
And if there also you're going to follow the SOP, not understanding the real core thing, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you're only doing the customer service part.
Yeah.
Look, somebody has come to me, I'm following the SOP and I'm, creating those SRs and I'm delivering the, results, right? Go beyond.
Yeah.
There that entire experience comes in.
Absolutely. Yeah. 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 Well said.
In fact, that reminds me of a story that one of my friends who worked in a place called Foot Locker in the UK. Okay, so it's a retail footwear stores, right? So he was working there and he was a floor in charge. And one of his customers, after using a pair of sneakers for about 90 days, he comes back for a return. Okay. And then he follows the SOP and looks at the condition of the shoes and then says, this cannot be taken back. Right? So he goes back. The next day he walks in again when the store manager is around. Okay. He goes and shows it to her and then says, I want to return this and then get a new pair of sneakers. And she agrees. Right. So the problem is this floor in charge was not empowered or enabled the way Ankit was saying, right, to take decisions. Instead, he was following the SOPs that were given to him, right? So that's a fantastic.
A recent live example, if I can just share, we're just discussing this. Monday I landed in Pune and I checked in this hotel. I'm not named the hotel, okay, and I was not happy, okay, with the entire process, the room and all. I was literally not at all happy. Okay, and I conveyed that to the manager there. But I'm not happy. They said that we'll give you a suite, we'll give you that, and I said no, I am not okay. I am not feeling comfortable staying in your hotel. And this booking was a non-refundable booking, which I had done for 4 nights, right? And I called up the travel portal, because I had booked it through a portal. Right. And I said, and I conveyed my entire story to them that this is what has happened. Now here the SOP, of course, is that it's a non-refundable booking, right? And if the customer is asking for a refund, you don't give that. And the call center agent would have simply said that to me. That's sorry, while we understand, but this, is a non-refundable booking. You have already signed up on the TNCs and everything. You have seen that, you've agreed to that, and then you have gone ahead with the booking. But what he did, he understood my pain. He understood that there is a genuine issue. He fought internally. He was there on the call for 1 hour. He fought internally, got me a refund, and then immediately arranged a new booking in the new hotel. And then ensured that I reached that hotel, I do a proper check-in, and after that, he again called me up and said, "Are you comfortable here?" Now that's experience.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. Yeah.
So Ankit, just a request, you don't have to name the hotel. Can you name the travel booking?
Make my trip.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a regular customer of them. I really like their service,
Yeah. That's good. That's very good to hear. Yeah. Thanks, Ankit. So next let's go to Ram. So the discussion point here is nowadays I commonly hear that term CX as a service. It talks about integrating people, processes, and technology. While it appears a perfect way to provide a customer experience, how do you see this trend?
Right. So see, I believe the customer service is not actually the department. Everyone of the organization is actually responsible to it.
Exactly.
Some organization takes customer service as damage control department. Somebody at the back end damages the processes, and then the customer service is up to maybe take care of it, right? I mean, it's been a trend, as well as some companies like telcos. If you take example of, they use this department as revenue making. They create a problem, and then there's a customer service to give refunds. So they create a problem, they solve the problem, they create experience about it. Okay, my money was debited, and then they have credited back. Vodafone is good. So that's how it is. It's strategized well for different companies. There are consultant settings to maybe build it for you. Just like that. Now, Amex has a different customer service when you take example in fintech, right? So Amex is like, they don't ask you terms and conditions. They don't ask you any receipt or charge slip before taking charge back. You just call them up and say, okay, I have got a coffee. It wasn't good. I'm not paying for this. Or else I didn't do this transaction. So they simply don't ask you a question. They put that on a hold and give that money back in your credit card immediately, not even waiting for whatever, the terms maybe other credit card companies have. That's how it is. And they proudly charge merchants, say 5%, and merchant is, happy, maybe not happy with it. We don't know. But the customers are, right? First, I mean, so that's how it is, customer service. Now, CX is it's a buzzword everybody wants to maybe ride upon. It's a buzz which is very fancy, and everybody wants to jump upon and show everyone, okay, we have core CX kind of policies. But customer service starts from very beginning, from the ideation phase of the product. You need to take care of everything, right? I mean, I guess in 90%, 95% company fails to create FAQs at the first place. They don't create FAQs. They later do it while understanding the questions from customer. And maybe somebody is in between, like, tools like Freshdesk, Zendesk, tracks those keywords and tell them, okay, this could be your FAQs. And that's how it creates FAQ for you. And people are happy, appreciating the tool's ability to help you create the processes again. So I believe this CX is a part of your ideation process. Once you ideate the product, then you develop the product. Whatever it is, it could be physical, it could be just like maybe untouchable, whatever you call it, the term kind of insurance, whatever it is. It's a plan of it's a planning phase where you need to think upon the CX. And of course, customer service is a vital department. But if you can take example of WhatsApp and similar apps, there's no customer service department sitting and you don't interact with. So that's where the CX is actually taken care of. I give you an example from my industry of PhonePe. PhonePe is not core in the payments, neither in the e-commerce. Never been. But take an example of again Paytm. Paytm is everywhere, but not the king. He's everywhere. He has e-commerce, he has mall, he has drop shipping, he has payments, banking, mutual fund, dining. You name the business line digitally, and he's everywhere. But PhonePe has won the game. He's at number one now. A maximum UPI market share is owned by PhonePe, having no experience or maybe no direct product integration. He's again a facilitator with the UPI functionality. But Paytm is a bank. Amazon is much bigger than that. So that's my point. So they have taken care of CX very early when they were planning the product. Now, I don't know how many times you might have interacted with the PhonePe's customer service, but if you go on a GPay, it's always at least one problem in 10 transaction. Paytm similarly. So that's my point. At least you would have some grievances in the Paytm's transaction or some other transaction, but not every time in the PhonePe's transaction. So PhonePe is one of the company or one of the app in the country right now who has those recommendations implemented on the platform that you should not make payment to this particular ID or this particular phone number while you make the transaction. So they have those reporting system like a social media pages. If you report any post, they take it seriously, right? If you post it, you get a response to it very maybe in a timely manner that they says ki whether we have review the post, it is not falling against our policies, or maybe it is falling and we have taken an action. Similarly, PhonePe does that. So if you report any UPI ID to PhonePe, now henceforth, PhonePe starts showing one red color message to that particular UPI ID if anyone tries to make a payment on. And they shows, okay, you should not make payment to this UPI ID. This is suspicious. And it doesn't allow you more than say 10 rupees or 20 rupees amount to be transferred to that particular UPI ID. That's a part of CX, right? That's a part of, so before customer falls in a problem, they have a proactive solution to it.
Yeah.
We follow the name in our company. So that's what we do. Yeah, that's my take on this.
Yeah, that's a big point actually. So because like you are protecting the customer and giving the comfort feeling, like because especially when you are doing the financial transaction, so the most critical part is the the trust. So,
yeah, in fintech, you cannot save customer after going money out from the bank account. You can save him when there is a money in the bank account, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I completely agree with Ram, and an example
that's where the banks are very afraid of these apps. Recently, Uday Kotak has given a statement that one day PhonePe, Amazon will kill us. It's an official statement, by the way.
I agree with Ram, because you talked about UPI. On the face of it, while the front end of UPI, from customer standpoint, you feel that it's very straightforward. Right, it's kind of STP in the jargon language, but at the back end, it's really, really complicated. Right, with those complications comes in, as Ram mentioned, all those issues.
Yeah.
Right, and the people who are able to stitch those issues, do those basic reconciliations in time, right, and use those data, as Ram was giving an example of, predicting something that, hey, you may not want to do this transaction because we are facing settlement issues with this particular bank.
Yeah.
Right. Now that's the best use of data.
Yeah.
Because this data is available everywhere. To each and every bank who's today doing UPI, to each and every payment platform which is doing UPI. But it's very far and few who are really leveraging it. And the end result is the customer is happy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, because the most critical thing is that trust, and when you do this, that's where exactly you are helping the customer to have a trust, and
absolutely
that brings on everything else. So thanks. So the third discussion point goes to Sabha. Many times customer service is seen as a post-sale activity. This probably is not the right way to look at it. How do you make customer service a part of the organizational culture and central to every job function, irrespective of what role you play in the organization? Are there any examples that you can share here from your experience? I guess just even Ram explained in one of his Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So in fact, see, I come from an industry where we focus on B2B customers. So we have only a handful of them. We don't have thousands of them, right? So we don't really look at customer experience from a customer service perspective. So we don't have agents attending calls from customers, or rather it's a product support team that handles queries from customers. It's the sales and the marketing that handles the experience of the customers and all. Right. So, and we're also a very, very regulated industry. We are in the space of providing certification support to banks, right? So we work with banks all around the world. And when we started about 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, there were only 5 or 6 players in this space. And there was really no incentive for any of them to be providing great customer experience, because the hundreds of banks or the thousands of banks that are all over the world had no choice but to go to one of these 5 or 6 players. Right, and it's so very regulated also, and you need to go through a lot of qualification process and stuff like that. So that's when we decided, let's take this up a bit, right? And then we started looking at everything from a customer's perspective, right? So for instance, we spent months in getting our usability of the product right? So earlier it was more like, this is how my product works, so you better learn and then do things the way my product works, right? So now we made it really, really usable. And then we came up with, different business models that was not heard of in this domain at all. For instance, we came up with models like tools as a service, certification as a service, platform as a service. So now they could buy the test tools and the analysis tools and all of it on a subscription from us, right? So, which was not earlier available, then they had to buy these licenses. So I'll give you an example. In fact, we sold at the beginning of this pandemic a subscription of 1 month for a bank in Sri Lanka, right? And their people could not come into the office to use that tool or to test their devices for certification and all of it. So we naturally extended it the subsequent month and the subsequent month and the subsequent month without any additional fees. So for 4 months, we extended it. And then only in the 5th month, people started coming into the office to do their work. So that's when we also brought in, something called a remote consulting, where they could actually sit at home and we would be sitting in Bangalore and helping them do the certification and all of it. So this was something that was really, really taken up well by the customers, right? So because they didn't have to come and request us for an extension of the subscription, because we knew that this is a problem that everybody around the world are facing, right? So we voluntarily went and extended the subscriptions. Right? Okay. So that's one thing that which we went ahead and did, right? So when you look at the way the company is organized, right? So we have people in product management, we have people in product marketing, we have programmers, we have developers, we have people in marketing, sales, support, and all of these places. And all of our KRAs today reflect one thing as to how is my work helping my customer have a better experience and in turn relationships. In fact, we spent months in coming up with a corporate slogan for ourselves, right? So we wanted to come up with something that was related to the payment industry, as well as something that we can live with, right? We have value that we can live with. So we came up with something called Count on Us. Okay, so that had everything around, trust, skills, honesty, and all of these principles we brought in. And then on a daily basis, we keep talking about it at least for 10 minutes, right? So we at least send a WhatsApp message to everybody in the group, okay, about any such experiences that we have heard from any of our employees in their interactions with their customers. So for instance, we were helping somebody implement a kernel on their terminal. Okay, so Ram would be able to understand what I'm talking about, right? So on the terminal, and they were building a level 3 application. The level 3 application is a payment application, which will allow you to do all of these transactions, right? So, and they were stuck. And while this was not a part of the work for which we have been contracted to deliver, we understood where they were stuck. And then we helped them with that process also, right? And then we helped them with the certification itself, right? So both for the level 2 as well as for the level 3. I mean, these are kind of things that we make our, developers, engineers, and all of them, we empower them. I mean, the one that Ankit was talking about at the beginning, right? So we ask them, we incentivize them to be creative, we incentivize them to be intelligent and take ownership of whatever that happens, right? So, and we are a very small team. We're only about 42 at this point in time, right? So, and most of us interact with each and every customer that we come across, right? So at some point in time, it's not like, marketing is completely cut off from a customer the moment they become a customer. So we do have interactions, we invite them for conversations, we work with them to do case studies, we work with them on podcasts. So these are kind of things for which, we continuously be in touch with them. And it also gives us a lot of input in terms of, what should be our offerings, because there's a lot of learning that comes from the market for us. So that's how we kind of, I think I digressed quite a lot from the question that you asked, but I thought it does make sense for us to be
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So,
Yeah.
So that's how we look at customer experience, because see, we are not somebody who has a lot of data points for us to mine and then figure out and all that. So at any point in time, we'll possibly be handling about 15 customers or 20 customers, right? So that's the scale at which we operate.
Yeah. Okay.
In your case, Sabha, actually the area is very restricted. People can't
Absolutely.
just away, okay, yaar, Sabha, tera service theek nahi, and just I'm going out with Hitachi or somebody else. It's not a course of 2 days or 2 weeks. It
No,
takes
in fact, yeah, sir.
from one provider to other, so they can't even calculate that. And having B2B close customer base, you have better approach for customer service. I won't say it's a customer service, it's more of a relationship with the
Absolutely.
tripartite, the client, the bank, and you. So that becomes, and since it is regulated enough that those processes actually push you through the customer service itself, so that becomes properly. And sometimes you have somebody to blame upon always if the transaction goes wrong.
Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, see, we've all had about 15, 16 years of experience in this industry before we started this, right? So we knew for sure, since it was a very, very regulated industry, you can always put the blame on somebody else, right? If your tool does not work and all that in their environment. But we were very, very conscious right from the beginning, that's not something that we are going to do. So because we knew that this problem existed all along, okay, and we didn't want to continue having that problem as a new organization. Right? So,
Okay. Thanks, Sabha.
thank you.
Yeah. So Ankit, so let's have this discussion point with you. So take your input. So I roll out a bunch of initiatives based on my understanding of my customers and from what I hear from my customer experience folks. We have the necessary infrastructure to start providing customer service as well. Now, how do we measure the success of these customer service initiatives so that I can iterate and make them better? And are there any specific tools that you can use? Can you share any pointers from your experience? So
Sure.
Yeah,
I would first like to talk about to answer this, that follow a process around that. Okay, and the process starts with the customer. As rightly mentioned, first and foremost is you need to capture what your customer is wanting or talking about. Okay, now how do you really capture that? The first data point which each and every organization today has is all the interactions that the customer is having with your folks. And it's not the interaction which the customer is only having, let's say, at the contact center. Do you have the capability of capturing the interactions that the customer, for example, has had with the sales guy? Right? Do you have that visibility? Right? So that's the first point, right? You have that customer interaction data. The second point linked to that is, from a data standpoint, do capture your customer feedback at each and every transaction when it gets completed.
Okay.
And in our parlance, we call it as a transaction NPS. Okay. While we say that NPS overall, you look at the relationship level, yes, but we take a bottoms up approach, and we say that after each and every transaction across the customer journey, you reach out to the customer and capture the VOC.
Okay.
That becomes the first part of the data, which is part number one, the interaction. Second is the transaction NPS. Now, when you have this data, comes the second step. The second step there is that you start analyzing this data and then arrive at stated needs and also the unstated needs. Because at times what happens is we only focus on the stated needs. My customer is saying that I'm not happy with the whole time at the contact center. Now that's a stated need. That's a clear-cut thing which the customer is wanting. But in the various verbatims of customers, you'll also find that there will be some subtle things which are unstated. Now, can you do something around that? Because when you do that unstated thing, then comes the entire experience piece.
Yeah.
Right? Because the stated need, it's about the service, that you're just fulfilling the service.
Yeah.
When you look at the unstated needs and work towards that, then comes the real experience part.
Yeah, experience.
So you have the list of stated and unstated needs in your step 2. Then comes the step 3, that when you have those stated and unstated needs, you do a gap analysis. That against these needs, what do I have? Right? Kind of becomes a checklist. Right? Now, wherever you are failing, there comes the step 4, that you now look out for those solutions or the technological solutions, to enable that. And once you have done that, then comes the step 5, which is the real important, which is the entire controlling part of it. That whatever you have done, whatever you have implemented based on your step 1, you started with the base data and the stated unstated needs, is it really meeting that or exceeding that at certain places? Right? So there you kind of complete this entire cycle.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And we talk about tools, today in the market, as Ram was also Freshdesk, Zendesk, you name it, there are many.
Yeah.
Right. And again, it's a commodity, I would say, to be honest, right?
Yeah.
There is no one organization which you can say is the right or wrong, right? You need to see what works best for you.
Yeah.
Right. The strategies that you want to adopt and you want to implement for your business, look out for those organizations, those service providers, which kind of matches that. Right. And go ahead and implement. But yes, when you do certain things, like for example, transaction NPS I talked about, right? Doing it manually obviously doesn't make sense. Because for example, in our business, we have 11 crore customers. Now, doing such an activity for 11 crore customer base, you can't really think of doing it manually, right?
Yeah.
Right. You need to have those digital intervention, those tools, which is enabling it. Right. And then there comes the other experience part of it, that today, for example, when we roll out this entire transaction NPS to the customer, we give today in 10 different languages.
Yeah.
And we have arrived those 10 different languages, not from a point of view of what is the top 10 language in India, but to the point of our 11 crore customers.
Oh, yeah.
Right? What is their top 10?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And that's where, we have gone ahead and did that.
Yeah. 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 Very true. Okay. Yeah.
Great.
So Ram, you have anything to add there?
Yeah, he has articulated it very well, starting from capturing to the customer experience. And of course, I would say, it's very different from industry to industry, right? Like Sabha is like, he doesn't give a fuck about it. Okay, mujhe koi farak nahi padta, because his industry is B2B. Now he cannot create automation in capturing the data because he's again B2B, just a processor sitting behind. Anyways, he has both the clients, the bank client, bank is also a client, and the fintech company who is maybe consuming his backend as a service is also a client. But majorly, customer service makes plays an important role when you are dealing with the customer. It's like a B2C app, just like what Bajaj Allianz has. And so in his case, again, he's B2B plus B2C. So both the cases, he needs that customer experience to be very good, and having a brand and the strength maybe to handle the flow and handle the customer experience. Still the data is very big so you need automation in place, right? So fortunately, India has a lot of SaaS platforms already available to automate the data, automate the experience for you. But even though the tools are there, the first important, maybe I would say, the phase which every company, not more, I mean all the companies thinks about, they miss the entry points of the customer. They don't capture those information. They say okay, ye DB mein hai, but it doesn't solve the problem. We capture the information, not the events. And events plays the maximum role is in experience, the customer experience, not the data, right? So data, I would say, not name and everything, you send the push notification, that's not a customer experience. Now people are trying to copy Zomato and trying to copy Cred to send the push notification using this and that language, but that doesn't create experience. Sometimes that even those notifications triggers customers to uninstall your app because you're sending it too much, or maybe you're sending it which he doesn't feel relevant. It should match with your experience. Whatever you are sending it to him for the entertainment purpose should match with your actual native experience on the app. Because currently the major problem is, if the customer is raising grievances, that's good, you're blessed to maybe at least able to listen to him. But nowadays people doesn't have time to do that. They simply switch from one app to another rather than raising why. They don't even go to the Play Store to give you a wrong review or bad review. They simply go to Play Store, uninstall yours and install your competitor immediately. Because the best, the bad thing is Google knows, I mean, even the social media knows, if you have a Paytm, he would show you the phone pay ad. If you have Make My Trip, he would show you the OYO ad. So that's how it is. Even in our case, we target the competitors' apps. And fortunately, I mean, everybody has that ability to capture the information from the customer's phone. Now we know maybe, what apps the customer is using apart from ours. We know that data. Everybody knows that data. Google gives you that database or that information that your customer is using Make My Trip, Oyo, at the same time he is also using your app. So we get to target them differently. Once he uninstall the app, we show that ad on the other competitor's app or some other app to make ask him to download again. But he comes back, we have all this experience for that. So that's how it is to capture information. So there are two ways to listen to the data. One, what Ankit has given example of, every transaction he asks user for his voice, for his feedback, for his opinion about the experience that he had. The second one is you can listen to the data or listen to this event silently sitting in the app, right? If he has canceled the transaction, why, which screen, what was the error, you can listen to that data. Which hotel, what was the reason, you can simply ask one liner to him why you are canceling this. That one liner can help you. Rather than sending him email later, we can simply ask him while canceling that order, like, okay, I'm canceling because I changed my order, mind, I don't want, I have got a better offer from somebody else. So this is what the data you have to listen and maybe create a funnel accordingly and help him out with a better experience.
Okay. So
Sorry. And fortunately, maybe there are tools like Firebase and all these applications which help you. I'm talking about in terms of the mobile app, when you have a mobile app, especially Android. So the Firebase and all these tools allow you to create a personalized experience for the customer basis his maybe his persona, his behavior with the app, with the interaction with the app. You can create a different layouts for him. So I would again give an example of phone pay. If you open your phone pay and I open my phone pay, we would see either your offer banners would be on the top and mine at the bottom, because I don't interact much with the offers, or maybe you may interact, or maybe you have a better offers within those locality. So he shows you ad banner up, and for me he shows that ad banner in the down, in the bottom of the app. And that's how he plays with the UI also dynamically for a different user. So that's a part of experience again, like to give him an offer, even if it is marketing, but that falls under the experience. Like if he's in a mall like GIP in Noida, and if you're showing him the offer right there from the GIP, that becomes useful.
Yeah.
A lot of offers you get from Google Pay and all this, these are useless. Like you don't see, okay, मैं Rummy card पे क्यों जाऊँ to redeem that? I don't use that. And he's giving me every day 3 different Rummy cards offers. So it doesn't make sense. But when I'm in a mall and he sends me the say Domino's offer to redeem that on the pizza of say my favorite pizza, then I can use that. And that's how the offer works. And that's how he gives him conversion. And Domino's is happy.
Yeah.
So that's part of customer experience. It's not just about the transaction. It's not about your service. It's not always about you. It's always about customer, what he likes.
Yeah. Very true. So it's all about customers and the timing of when we are going to give that help, right? That makes a huge difference, especially with the current customer experience where we are all used to the instant gratification, right? With all the mobile and the apps and everything. So So the next discussion point.
Uthaman, I have a follow-up question for Ankit, if I may.
Yeah.
All right. So Ankit, you are talking about taking this customer feedback in 10 languages, right? So how do you actually, considering the number of customers that you have, how do you actually incentivize them to fill up that feedback?
See, it's, as I said, it's about the unstated needs. So as you fulfill those unstated needs, okay, you are giving incentives, because a direct incentive for an insurance company, that's not allowed.
Right,
you can't really give any direct incentive, right? That's not part of the Insurance Act, right? You can't really do that.
Right.
So you have to, follow the other way around. And for a customer or insurance, if you are able to deliver that unstated need, then it becomes, the win-win, and the customer is, willing to give you that feedback. So the way, to do it is that it's not about just taking the feedback. It's also about the upstream part of it, right? How you are actually doing that transaction with that customer, how you are delivering that transaction. If you're able to do that and stitch that properly, the customer will give you that feedback.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if you have taken that extra step, right, then you can expect that kind of.
Yeah, no, I'll give an example for, we are running this pilot right now. It's really, really successful. From a metric standpoint, zero detractors so far in that pilot. Okay. And that pilot basically is, we all know health insurance and medical, administration at the hospitals. So what we have done is, at certain select hospitals across the country, in select places, we have deployed our people, physical people, and we have made them digitally empowered by giving them a tab through which they can access and do whatever is there. Now the process there is that if there is a customer of Bajaj Allianz General Insurance getting admitted, right, and there is a cashless request which is getting generated, there this person kicks in and says that you take care of the patient in terms of the telling the attendant, and I take care of all the administrative work at the hospital.
Mhm.
Now, in that entire bargain, what we are really doing, first, we are cutting that, that air time in between the hospitals and the doctors, signing the forms and all those stuff, because this guy is basically running around and ensuring everything is done, correctly and quickly.
Right.
Because at times we have seen at the hospitals that, the hospital billing guy would say that, the insurance approval has not come.
Right.
Whereas the real story behind that is that the bill has not even been uploaded through the insurance company.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Right. So we are basically with that killing that piece completely.
Yeah.
And also killing the fraud piece.
Yeah.
All those fraudulent claims where the guy is not ill, this guy in a subtle way is able to find that out.
Mhm.
Right. And all the genuine customers are delivered with that super experience, because we all know that in hospitals running here and there for the administrative work, it's a nightmare.
Mhm.
Right. So this guy basically does that. And that's where the unstated need comes into the play.
Yeah.
Now, once
Makes
you are
sense, makes
able to
sense.
deliver this experience to the customer and then ask for a feedback, the customer is bound to give you a feedback.
Yeah. Yeah. They are more than likely to give you. Yeah.
Right? And in the pilot that we have seen, 100% of the customers who got service with this, they have given us feedback
Okay.
with zero detractors.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's where I said, stitching the upstream process, to ensure that the delivery of, because here the delivery was claim,
Yeah. Yeah.
approving that claim, processing that claim. And we have not made any changes in our claim process.
Yeah.
Right. We have not changed any of our policies. We have not changed any of the TNCs. We are not saying that, hey, I'm going to pay to the fraudulent customer as well.
Yeah.
But perhaps in the earlier process, we would have really scrutinized 100% to get to know that 0.1% of frauds.
And you just added one more channel of claim settlement, basically. That was just one more channel.
I won't say one more channel, it's more of a facilitator,
Okay.
that this guy is doing, right? Because as I said, there is no change in the claim process.
Correct.
Right? The billing, everything happens from the hospital. The hospital gives that to us, and our claims team will process that and deliver the result.
Yeah.
Whether this is approved, not approved, and all.
Yeah.
Right.
It's about that this guy is hand-holding each and every activity at the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And the most important factor is he's educating the customer.
Absolutely.
At each and every point.
Now
Yeah.
it will trigger that the existing customer will create a word of mouth and refer 4-5 more customers maybe by just telling how easy that claim settlement of Bajaj was.
Yeah. Right? And that's happening. We are seeing that. We have seen these customers who got service with this. They were perhaps using a motor insurance from some other company.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have, for their renewal, they moved to us.
Yeah.
The health part, we've also been able to get the other products going.
Yeah.
I'm able to imagine.
And for example, I was speaking to this customer, who was serviced by this, relationship manager at the hospital. And this guy, our RM, because he went into so pally with the customer, right? Because that customer was there in the hospital for 10 odd days. and he was, meeting and greeting every day. So we came to know that this customer also has a pet, a pet dog. And
Okay.
recently we have, started a pet insurance as well. This guy was able to sell that as well, right there at the hospital, when the customer was there in the patient, as a patient.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm able to imagine, maybe the customer who is trying to settle that claim. Of course, in the hospital, you end up chatting with the neighborhood maid, right? So he must be, asking you, do you have insurance? No, okay, you should buy the maybe Bajaj. It would be very useful for you
Happens
because
because then you see now that, okay, this guy is done with his insurance claim and he's getting a discharge.
right.
The other guy is waiting.
And basically, during this difficult time, any help is a big help.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
helping this way becomes a huge one. So it would be a lifetime experience one could have during those difficult
No,
times.
absolutely. Because in any of the feedback, the stated feedback would have been in the claims that I need my claims to get expedited. I
Correct.
need to get more transparent, rewards.
Mm-hmm.
So the claim settlement amount needs to be better. All of that. Those are stated needs.
Absolutely.
We never saw this unstated need that I need somebody from the insurance company to be with me at the hospital.
Correct.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I have one more question that's free form for all of you. So look at example of Zappos, and this is how they delight their customers. They offer free shipping both ways with no order minimums, free returns for all, for a full refund within 365 days of a purchase, under 24/7 support with the provision to call, email, or live chat with a real human being at any time. So focusing on free shipping, free returns, and 24/7 support is how Zappos defines customer service, right? So how do you define customer service of your brand? I guess so Ankit has explained more of it now, but I'm just asking is there anything else Ankit or Ram you want to add?
Yeah, sure. I would say, it start with your business strategy and the playbook that, where you want to play, right? So like the example which you gave about free, right? Now that's one way of saying that, yes, I want to play in that market where we are offering this free.
Yeah.
Or you want to be in the market where nobody really cares about the free. For example, Louis Vuitton. Now you'll never find a Louis Vuitton customer entering into a LV showroom and asking for a discount.
Yeah.
Right. Now that's the strategy of the business, or the brand, that where you want to really play. If you want to really play in that free market, or then yes, that's the right strategy for you. Right? If you don't want to play there, you're going to ending up losing it.
Yeah.
Right. So it depends upon, there is no right or wrong here, frankly, right? It really depends upon your business strategy, that where you want to play. Like, for example, as I said earlier, we believe insurance is all about care.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's where we are playing.
Yeah.
We do not play at all by saying this is free and all those stuff, or, you get a lower, premium and all those stuff. We don't talk about that.
Okay.
See, in our case, it's more to do with us respecting a customer's time as well as our time, right? So one of the reasons why they come to us is because their core focus is not certification. Their core focus is doing transactions, right? So they don't want to be stuck in the process of getting certified for like 4 months or 5 months, right? So that's the reason why they come to us. So we don't want to be wasting customers' time at any point, as well as our time, right? So so we keep that very, very close to us. And then we're also talking about relationships, because it's a B2B market. So because it's not that, they buy from you today and they're not going to come back to you for another year or so. It's like constant relationship is what is going to get us there. So we don't look at any customer relationship as a transaction. Instead, we figure out ways and means by which, we could add value to the transactions that they do, right? So that's how we look at it.
Okay. So the last discussion point now goes to Ram. So Ram, the canvas for customer service will not be the same across businesses, right? So that we have already identified. You will have to specifically come up with features for your business that can set up apart. How do you identify these features?
No, as I said, it's firstly it's depending upon what market you are dealing with, and second it is what is your product and what is your business model, right? If you take example of ours, everything fails. We are rural, right? Completely. Mahagram itself suggests we are majorly gram, right? Rural. So my customer base comes from tier 4, 5, 6 cities, where maybe Bajaj Allianz won't have single employee selling their insurances. There's no competition to LIC right now. So this customer
Yeah.
understand your AI. You have
We are one of the largest players in the agri insurance piece,
superb.
right?
That's a partner model. It could be direct selling. It's really difficult there, or
No, it
maybe
is,
I mean
but we are into that, and somewhere that digital is playing there for us.
right,
We have a separate app for our farmers, which is called a Farm Mitra app.
superb.
Today, around 4 lakh farmers are actually using that app. It's not about
Ah,
just dealers. They actually use that app on a daily basis while they have their insurance thing, which is the claim, may or may not come. But there, that, as I said earlier, the unstated piece is working the engagement on that app.
Oh, okay.
Amazing. So
Nice.
fortunately, now the kids of the farmer became the mainstream farmer. So they are the teenagers and understand how to search songs on YouTube. So fortunately, they are able to use app. Recently, I was talking on one of the panel discussion, and somebody was praising Geo for making it digital, and now technology has reached to rural. But I see it differently. Of course, off the topic from here right now. Majorly, yes, most of the people have smartphones even in rural, but these are all teenagers, right? They are not decision maker. They are not earning yet. Decision makers are above 30, above 40 people who doesn't have smartphones. They have maybe the featured phones. So as I said, you need to define your target market first, and then there is a business model. So that's how you create your customer service department processes, whatever you call it. In our case, our model is B2B2C. So we don't directly engage customers. We are a banking fintech company who offers rural banking services along with the experience. But again, experience is little tweaked by the local entrepreneur. We partner with the shopkeepers. We call it a banking agent or a merchant, just like what the insurance companies has insurance agents. We have these banking agents who work with us. We have, say, more than 5 lakh touch points like this, the Kirana stores with us. So they offer the banking services to the customer, and they are depending upon us for any grievances or any dispute that the customer may have. But fortunately, we have the middleman, the local representative from the village. That becomes easier for us to resolve timely. So in our case, even the shopkeepers are not graduate or doesn't understand technology much. They try to match up with the today's trend, but somehow it lags somewhere. So in our case, not our bots work completely or perfectly. We need multiple channels to offer the customer service. So of course we have implemented email, we have implemented chatbots on all the social media. It's not like maybe the chatbot he has to interact with. Even if he puts any comment on our social media, any comment, our chatbot proactively triggers the message to him, hey, you're writing in a comment, come here, I'm here for you, right? Something like that. And then that's how we take up the communication for the, if it is the email, we create a ticket, we initiate a outgoing call for the customer to maybe help him out. So there are a lot of channels we have put on. We don't know which works better, because he tried to use everything, whatever the options he may have with him, because he has been going through that experience. To these people, nobody listens. It's like, nobody listens to them, because they are buying, say, today they are buying Tata Sky or something. They are making customer care call to Tata Sky and asking कि ये problem है, वो problem है. They says कि okay, आप थोड़ा सा ये घुमा के देखो, वो घुमा के देखो, that should work, restart करके देखो. They have that feeling nobody listens to them, and that's why they try to reach out to you through multiple channels. Even if he has written an email to us, he tried to call on a customer care immediately as soon as he receives an auto reply, and we say, okay, call us on here. If alternatively, he immediately calls us. We see a lot of tickets gets created, and that's not a part of, maybe he's not afraid or having a fear of losing whatever money he has. It's more of he tried to reach out to you urgently, maybe to resolve your problem or resolve his problem. because ultimately he has a customer pressure on him. So what happens in this case is we end up creating multiple tickets for the same guy, and then we don't know which tickets to resolve faster. Then we need that automation in place, identify the customer who is coming from email, who is coming from chat, who is coming from social media, and merge it together. Our efforts is very huge in combining those multiple social persona in one particular customer account to have a better visibility of the customer.
Yeah.
So that's how then we invite some tools, we invite some companies to build that solution. So we're working with 2-3 handful companies to identify the customer who is coming from email. If he's sending email from the registered email account which we have in the system, that's the blessing. We get to know who the customer is, and then we can merge the tickets. But somehow these guys have multiple email IDs for using multiple services because they are the shopkeeper. So they work with us, they work with some different bank, they work with Vodafone recharges and all this. So they may have multiple email IDs. Right. So again, as I said, so it depending upon the customer to customer. Now, if you take an example of Zomato, you don't go to their social media and comment ki mera food kyun nahi aaya. Now you know where to get in touch with them. You simply go to the app, create on a chat button, and then write a message ki, okay, I'm waiting for my order. But in my case, my customer is not educated enough. He doesn't have, he can see the contact us, but he won't go there. He'll Google what is the customer care number of Bharat ATM. And then he also, I mean, there's another trouble, right? He Googles the customer care number, and there are some fraudster who plays with the SEO and shows the wrong customer care number. It might have happened with you, Ankit, you may agree. The fraudster number shows, and then they send some OTP to him, Paytm OTP, and says ki OTP verify karo, I'll solve your problem. And they end up losing money. That's a different story, right? So they don't look at the app completely. Where is the customer? Then again, it's a problem for us where to place the customer care number, how to show them the customer care number. We send them email. The open rate is not much because they don't use email very frequently, just like we guys use. We majorly look at the email and WhatsApp and LinkedIn better than the other apps like we have. We don't even look at, say, SMSs frequently, but the emails and our WhatsApp and the LinkedIn, these are the most frequently used app on our phone. So that's depending upon the customer base that you have. Right. And one, I guess, being an entrepreneur, I guess all the people should know, I mean, how to serve the customer, but priority is the problem. They sometimes entrepreneur, busy in building the app rather than focusing on the processes. And that's where we lose two things. One is customer service, and the second one is financing and accounting. That's where the major entrepreneur fails. Right. So I take that way. It's not a priority. I mean, everybody knows how to serve customer. It's not a rocket science. Everybody knows they need to listen to their data. If you ask any failed entrepreneur here who failed in the customer service, he'll still talk about, okay, customer service is very important and you should capture the data. But they lose that. They don't understand the priority. And it's natural when you build, when you are going through the building process. And once you have built the platform, I don't see, I mean, big brands falling because of customer service. They end up solving that. It's an experience where they lose. And experience is the eventual thing. You cannot build it from the first day or day one. It's a mix and match, right? It's a mix. Experience is a mix of your customer experience, service, and your branding. It's not just experience. It's not just branding. It's a mix. So everybody has to put in effort to maybe do that.
Completely agree. And at times, there are some simple solutions, not technologically enabled, simple decisions which can actually give you greater results. Like in our case, when you talk about the care and the trust, the point was that, are you really putting your neck on the block and saying that, yes, I want to deliver that care and trust. And what we did was, for example, is talking about emails, right? Now, somebody writing to our email ID, which is magic@bajajallianz.co.in, obviously an SR gets created, right? But we give an escalation matrix there. And those escalation metrics are not generic IDs. That's the change that I did. We said that if really I want to deliver a superior experience to my customers, let my neck be there on the block. And I said, I will put my email ID at the final escalation point in that. Now, yes, that's a big risk because you tend to also get, customer emails which are not escalations first point. But the whole point is that today I am able to really see what's really going on at the ground, both in terms of the agents doing and how and what the customers are really talking about directly. There is no filter. There is no tool There is no analytics, directly I'm actually reading. And the whole point was, I said, if my life will get into the hell, because if I'm going to get 2000 emails in my mailbox, that's the problem I need to solve. And I can only solve that problem by really going ahead and fixing those issues at the ground.
Yeah.
So at times you need to take those risks, which could be a simple solution, but yes, you really want to show to your customer that yes, you really care, you really want that trust.
Yeah, true. Okay, I think that's a very, very good, important points. So we discussed. So so that brings us to the end of the discussion points. And actually, we already
already shot up.
So let's quickly see if there are any audience questions. So we can take it. Yeah.
Question, Mr. Ram.
Yeah.
You said offers based on the locality. It helps to get more conversion.
Right.
But another point of view, it's felt like mislead our privacy. That's the reason Android. That's the reason Android nearby iBeacons and ED stones failed. Is that right?
No, I didn't get the last part of your question. What Android? You said something.
Actually, that's the reason Android and iBeacons failed to get attractions.
Okay. So your question is about privacy, or maybe the question about offering the personalized offers.
Yes.
What is your question?
It's like a privacy.
Right. See, when you install the app, right, you give those permissions to the app. Of course, sometimes it is blindly given. Okay, allow, because it's a Google, or it's a Zomato, or it's a PhonePe app, and you allow this permission. So location is a primary permission, a primary essential requirement for any app nowadays. The reason behind it, PhonePe should not allow one who is maybe sitting in Nepal to do the PhonePe transaction. That's RBI guidelines. Now, how do you stop someone using PhonePe in the Nepal without location, right? First,
Okay.
now using it for giving you the personalized offer, what's bad about it? Rather, he's giving you some relevant ads, right? So location is not a privacy. A location identify who who is the guy maybe on that particular location. You give location to Uber, but you don't want to give locations to PhonePe. I don't understand the privacy here. I mean, whether the privacy challenged because of PhonePe or because of location. If it is a location, then why it is given to the Google Maps? Why you're using Google Map? Why we are using, say, Uber and Ola without location? Privacy should not be identified. So the data should not be identifiable. They should not be able to create a profile around it. The profiling is bad. So profiling is a problem. And fortunately in India, profiling, nobody's creating profiling of yours. Like, they don't tag your name with the location, and they allow you the data. Okay, ye dekh lo. How would you able to track the, how would you be able to check whether the Domino's is around you or not without location? How would you do that? So that's how it is. It's not a privacy. Privacy is more about whether your search history is published, or search history is exposed. Your identifiable data, like your phone number, email ID is exposed, your name, photographs are exposed. That's the privacy. And I was one of the panel discussion last year during, post COVID, post first wave of COVID, and somebody asked me the question about the same thing, right? Social media, not the social media, basically the privacy. Again, that was the question. Would you show this data or that data on web? Like, one guy was pitching about the blood bank. Like, he said, okay, we'll show you the donors on the map immediately, you can just reach out to them and get the blood donation, right? And somebody asked you, okay, how would you handle the privacy? I said, you are creating videos on the TikTok, dancing in your bedroom or maybe dancing in your hall where everything is visible. You yourself are giving complete biometric data to one, using your retinas, maybe whatever, the information, your entire posture of body, who can just imitate, and then talking about the privacy. See, 7 to 8 years ago, the teenagers used to put the Shahid Kapoor and Katrina Kapoor's photograph as a DP on the social media. and today they are making videos on TikTok. So that has changed. So the biggest problem with that, so have you, if you look at this data, like the AI now, they can just create your clone, a virtual clone immediately using your entire photographs, and they don't need more than 12 photographs of yours to create that entire 3D view and the equal person. You may see some apps like FaceApp and all who's imitating your face and putting it on the some popular characters.
Yeah.
Location is not a privacy, my friend. Location is more essential, parameter one app should know before serving you better.
Mhm.
So this is, this experience is expected by the customer. And sorry, you're saying something?
No. Yes, continue.
So experience can be given to the customer basis the data. And if there is no data, we won't know as providers what the customer needs and how to serve the customer properly. If there is no location, then the cab driver won't reach you. If there is no location, you won't be able to travel solo, just like everybody's enjoying these days. You go to Delhi, you go anywhere, and you are able to find your hotel very easily. Earlier, taxi driver was the actual driver for you, but today it's a Google map who is driving you. Even the taxi driver doesn't know. I have seen a lot of drivers in Delhi who doesn't know the locations. He says कि भाई कहाँ जाना है? मैंने कहा कि कैनॉट प्लेस के थर्ड सर्कल में जाना है, इनर सर्कल में, सर पता नहीं, आप एक बार लोकेशन डाल दो. I said आप दिल्ली से बोलते? हाँ. So the location has created him employment, right?
Yeah.
That's how it is.
I mean, as far as privacy is concerned, anyway, you have a choice, right?
Yeah.
So not to disclose your location.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So thanks, Ram.
Yeah,
Any-
thank you, Ram.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions, audience?
Yeah, I have one question for Ankit.
Okay.
Ankit Goenka. Yeah, Ankit, just do you really see, post pandemic, the importance of insurance has been, that awareness. So you can say, this post pandemic that had helped to create an awareness. So now it's an only, service differentiator will play a role to people enroll, or like how you see that, the before pandemic or post pandemic, apart from service differentiator, like how it will help people to just enroll for more and more insurance, or what exactly you feel on that?
Sure. No, definitely pandemic has given a boost to insurance industry, because the reality, as I was saying earlier, in COVID, the GI companies all put together, they've actually paid 30,000 crores of claim only for COVID. I'm not talking about any other disease or any other hospitalization. It's only COVID, right? 30,000 odd crores given, right? Now that's a reality. That's the number which is there. Okay. Now, yes, with that, a lot of education and awareness is increasing. Okay, and which is definitely a boost to the entire society, because when the actual pandemic started, one of the leading newspapers actually published an article which said that COVID patients who are getting hospitalized, only 1.5% of them had life insurance, and only 1.1% of them had medical insurance. Now just imagine.
That's scary.
Right? Now that is the power and that is the opportunity. So yes, it has given a boost, but still, in the society, we still feel that insurance is more to do with, I'm going to get a tax benefit, or it's mandatory for a motor insurance that somebody, on the road, the cops will stop me, right? So the opportunity is immense. And pandemic, yes, has given a big boost to it, but still, a lot of things. For example, floods, when we talk about, right? We see every year there are floods here and there. Now, property insurance again plays a huge role in helping individuals come out of that big loss that a flood may, damage their house and all. But still, we see that people do not insure their houses. They will give, EMIs, they will give interest to the banks, but they'll not pay a few thousand to get the, property insured. Now that's the part which yes, all the insurance companies need to take care in making sure that, we educate the customers, right? And educate the society at large. And I would say the regulator is also playing a very vital role here, because from, IRDA also, there are a lot many regulations and guidelines which ensures that each and every insurer today does that. And the whole idea is that, yes, we increase this, the entire insurance penetration in India and actually help the society at large.
Yeah.
I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yeah, Ankit. Yeah, thank you so much. So do you really think, like customer service also going to play, this vital role out here, just one of a differentiator, because a lot of people going to offer insurance, So how do you think, because Bajaj is always known, for and just, to adopting a latest technology. So do you really see, like the customer service will play a vital role, or how, what all the challenges and which thing will, help us to, just go further on this particular, this NC market?
No, I strongly believe in that because as I said earlier, most of the industries, are commoditized, and so it insurance. We also have a medical insurance, somebody else also. There are 34 odd general insurance companies in India today. And soon there will be more as well, right? So at the end of the day, it's going to be the service, the experience that you're giving to your customer will differentiate you from the others. Because largely, the product would remain the same. One or two things here and there would be there, but largely it's going to be the same. So yes, the service will be the key differentiator and is the key differentiator as well.
Yeah.
Challenge, of course, as I said, is how do you really make sure that each and every employee, each and every partner who's delivering the service to the customer really imbibes that DNA that I really want to care, I really want to deliver a superior experience. Now that's going to be a challenge, of course, which is an ongoing thing, and there is no direct solution to that, right? You have to build that culture in your organization to ensure that each and everything is kind of stitched.
Yeah, thank you, Ankit.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks, Abdul. Hope you got it. So, any more questions? Anyone?
Hi, Ankit. When I become a customer of insurance or particularly a loan institution, by default, without knowing or by knowing, I have authorized to receive calls from that institution on offers and promotions.
Mhm.
But when this goes overboard, like when I receive 2 to 3 calls every day, my customer experience is very drastically impacted in a negative way.
Absolutely.
So how do you provide relief to sorry, to the customers who face such an issue? Because when I have faced these issues for the past 3 months, I try every nook and corner to get relief from this one, but I'm not able to.
I completely agree with you. That's the big problem, not only with insurance companies or banks. I would say it's a big problem for the entire country or the world, right? Because when somebody is buying a product or service from you, as an organization, you feel that you really own that customer. And when I say use that word own, it is not about that yes, I own the customer in terms of I'm responsible, accountable, and all the stuff. But you really feel that yes, I can bombard, I can reach out to this customer, I can just call, I can send emails, I can send SMSs, I can send notifications just like that, right? In that bargain, most of the organizations, yes, are forgetting that when you are really doing it, you're not helping, you're actually creating a detractor, right? And again, there is no right or wrong, but yes, you need to balance it out. As an organization, you need to look at your data, right, and see what is the right set of communication channels, as well as the communication times, the number of times you're going to nudge the customer. What is that right balance and the right number for you? For example, recently we made a change in the way we were approaching our customers before renewal. Right. And we saw that, we were really nudging the customer too much.
Yeah.
Right. And then we said that let's analyze the data and see that what is the right number of times we should actually nudge the customer, at what time, at what frequency intervals, and then do it. And again, that's not the bottom line. It's a continuous process. Whatever we have made changes today, we may have to undergo a change again, maybe increase or decrease.
Exactly.
Because that's not the right way. Because, for example, this was, just to give you a number, it was 32 times as we counted. We were nudging the customer. We brought it down to 5.
That's
right,
great.
based on the data. Right now, that 5 is that right or wrong? We don't know. at this point in time, right? The data will say, the customer experience, the feedback that we gather from our customers, as we have implemented this, will get to know us that yes, this is the right thing or not.
Okay, is this only in Bajaj Allianz, or do you follow the same process across all Bajaj institutions?
See, I'm talking about right now Bajaj Allianz General Insurance.
Okay.
But yes, typically in the entire Bajaj FinServ group, because we belong to the entire Bajaj FinServ group, the core philosophy in our group is about care. Be it a life insurance company, be it the Bajaj Finance, which is the loan, the consumer finance company, be it the new entrance to the entire Bajaj FinServ, which is the Bajaj FinServ Health, right, which is the new company that we have floated recently. Everywhere it's the main concept, the main DNA is that we need to care.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, so we have gone like almost half hour beyond our time. So let's thank our panelists and close the session. So if there are any more questions, please feel free to send it to us, and then we'll get the response from our panelists. So we promise to get the response.
Sure.
Okay. So yeah. Thanks, audience. So let's conclude the discussion here. So thank you so much, Ankit and Ram and Sabha, for being part of this and patiently answering the questions and extending your precious evening hour, half an hour more for us. So we greatly appreciate, and we look forward to have further more different topic discussions in future, and I would like to invite you for the future sessions as well.
Sure.
So
thanks. Really enjoyed the session. Really enjoyed discussing the most important and the most precious thing to me.
I
say that with pride.
Yeah.
And yes, we overshot the time, but this is something we can just keep on talking.
Yeah.
We were very passionate about the areas we play the role in.
Absolutely. But really enjoyed. This is one of those sessions that I have personally enjoyed a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love the energy as well. Yeah, of everyone.
Thanks, Uthaman, for having all of us.
Yeah.
Thank you.